On episode 75 of Chit Chat, we look at how different Essen felt this year. There were some ups and downs for sure, but we were a part of it in our own special way, exploring just about every new game we could get our hands on. Hello, everybody. It is episode 75. I was waiting for our standard of Kira to say hello, everybody, but she's not here, as you can see. It's me and Jeremy and Ryan, and we're going to talk about all things Essen. If you're a fan of the channel, you saw us, 2 weeks ago now? Doing our Essen live stream. And then, of course, the real and actual Essen happened. We're going to talk about all of that, the things we played between then and now, how well Essen went down, how well it might not have gone down. But we're going to talk about all that in a second. But first, we're going to talk about whoever won the last contest.
Right. So the winner was Lisa Waddell. You won Sugar Blast. That was from Kaman or Simon or whatever you want to call them. All you need to do is email us at manvsmeeple@gmail.com. And this week, we're giving away a copy of this beauty, Control, from Pandasaurus. Wah, 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 wah. Just make a comment, you're into the win. There you go.
Wow, everyone started dancing just now.
There's a little music. Give me a little music. I'm going to dance.
Beautiful music.
All right, so who wants to start?
I want to start.
Okay, Ryan, you have the show.
I want to start because I've been thinking about this for the 2 weeks since we played the Essen live stream. We've been getting a ton of questions, this exact same question from everyone. So going around the table, favorite game that we played on the Essen live stream.
Oh, boy. Jay Howe, go for it.
Well, there's no mistake about it. I mean, I pretty much was like, this Praga could be the #1 game of the year for me. It just hits all the things I'm looking for. And it just has so many inner workings going on, and also has simple turns, but I feel like there's a lot there to explore, and it just feels like a perfect solo game, which is really important to me. So kind of caps off a really good Euro. That's what I'm looking for, that kind of end cap to it, which is going to be solo play. So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to it, and it will be my first sushi game. So
I know you don't like underwater cities, which breaks my heart.
I know.
Like,
we can still be friends. We can still be Jeremy's.
Or Pulsar?
You don't like Pulsar either?
You don't like Pulsar either.
I think Pulsar is okay. I think it's okay.
Yeah, well, I think you're okay.
All right. You're overrated, sir. Okay.
I agree. I'm horribly overrated.
Ryan, what you got? What was your favorite game?
I've actually been thinking about that a lot. I've been going back and forth between Bonfire and Hallertau, but something about Hallertau just really hit me. Like, I just really liked the way that game plans out. And I know that we only had the components to play for 2-player. I kind of want to see how crazy it is in a 4-player game, because it's going to be a much tighter game and a lot harder to do the things you want to do. And you're really going to have to plan maybe a little bit more. So I want to see how it changes for 4. But yeah, Hallertau for sure for me.
Yeah, mine would have to be probably Hallertau as well, or Hallertau as well. Bonfire, I like them in this order. I like Hallertau, Bonfire, Praga, but I like them all pretty much equally. They're all really good games, but I just think that the Rosenberg game is going to have far more legs than the other two, just because of those massive card decks in there. Like I said during the stream, there's like 850 cards in there. So each of those decks has 4 different, A, B, C, and D deck for each of those 4 decks. So there's tons of variety. So when you play it, it's going to be different every time. Whereas the other games, Bonfire is going to, you're going to pretty much see everything you need to see after the, a dozen or so plays. And I just don't think you're going to have the same thing with the other two. And then Prague is good. Prague is really good, but it can be frustrating to some people. It's a longer teach. It's probably the longest teach of all of them. So it's probably not going to hit the table as much. And I don't think that there's going to be as many strategies in that game as Hallertau. But again, they're all really good. They all should be played by people and let people decide for themselves. Like, I'm happy I had the chance to play all 3 of them.
I just want to I want to get an honorable mention to Fairy Tale Inn. Which
right?
That game. So I ended up talking about it last night on our live pod because it was so fun. I was just like, this is exactly what I want. Back in the Boys and Girls Club days, playing Connect Four, but then this just opens it up to a whole different realm with the Connect Four style, but just adding so much flavor onto it that I think this one may get looked over, and I hope it does. And I hope people actually like seek it out a little bit. So I'm glad we can get the word out on that one, because I just think that was really cool, and it's really pretty as well. So yeah, check it out. Check that one out.
David, what about you?
I would say, I mean, I have a different list. I didn't play those games that Jeremy just mentioned. And Ryan, did you play all of those?
Yeah, I played all those, but you played those. Some of those you played not on the live stream.
It's true. I haven't played Hallertau, but I have played the other two. The ones that we played on the live stream, I'd have to, and I only played a couple, I think. But it would probably have to be Beyond the Sun, which I know isn't, like we said then, maybe not the most dazzling game to look at the table. I could see a lot of people walking by that game at a table and going, no. But I really love that game. It is, and I've stolen this from someone, I'm not sure who, but I've heard a lot of people talking about how it's basically tech tree the game. And you are building out a big communal tech tree and exploring space, and I am really looking forward to playing that some more.
Yeah, I liked it, but I also was like, this game's going to need an expansion like ASAP. And it just felt like I had options, but I felt like 5 games of this, I may have seen most of what I needed to see. And I don't like to totally project on that, because we know that not everybody plays games that many times anyway. They may say they're amazing and that's it, you know? Right. But I feel like people will want to play this game. And if it was con season, you probably play it a good 5 times pretty quickly, because it is a good game. But
so,
you know, I was just like, man, this game immediately needs an expansion. But that's not a bad thing. It's just that like I need more.
Yeah.
To know there's going to be more. You know,
I'm a little surprised to hear you say that, because like I feel the exact opposite of that. I mean, would I take an expansion? For sure. Yeah. But I've played that at least 4, maybe 5 times now. In fact, I went up to Lafayette that very evening and played a full game of Beyond the Sun with my stepson, Aiden. And we loved it. He loved it. He thought it was, he wasn't expecting much, but then he just absolutely devoured the game. And in that game, which was like my 4th or 5th game, like I said, there were technologies that I had never seen. Right. That happened in the game. Some of which were just mind-blowing. Like I sent one to Ryan via text that night. Yeah. Just said, look at this. And Aiden was holding up the card in a photo, and it was this ridiculous power. I don't know if you remember much about the game, Jeremy, but it allowed you, when you jumped over on the planet system section board, it allowed you to jump to any planet you wanted. It was a warp drive, so you didn't have to follow the lines. You could literally just jump wherever you wanted, which sounds like it would completely break the game. But I think once that came out on the board, everyone would have to go, well, I've got to try to advance on that line of the tech tree.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just thought it was good. I'll dig it.
Yeah, I just thought it was good. Like, it's a good game, you know, but I would want an expansion with that one to kind of make it essential for me in a collection.
Yeah. So, Ryan, you made the interesting point of saying the best game that we played. When we go into the worst game, and I don't want to dwell on this, but I'll start off because I think everyone knows what's coming here. Like, we've had conversations with a number of people about my handling of Twa Dice. Like, I called the game poop on the stream, which was, I mean, let's be honest, it was pretty unprofessional. It was pretty childish, and I don't know why I did it. I don't like the game, but I probably shouldn't have called it that, because I don't think the game is poop. I don't think the designers are poop. In fact, I love the designers. I have a number of their games on my shelves that I find to be some of my favorite games. I mean, listen, it's never my intention to trash a game, or to be mean to a publisher or designer. There's no need for it, because there's more than enough fantastic games for us to cover, right? I mean, but sometimes things just don't land. And it's unfortunate that this game, like Twa, everyone knows it. You guys all know it. Everyone who watches the channel knows that Twa has been my #1 game for 10 years. Like, there are very, very lofty expectations when I hear Twa. And when I heard of Black Angel, I thought, well, they're taking that dice mechanic, but it's not Twa. So there are these expectations that I have when I hear something like that. And it just didn't meet them. And at the end of the day, what I said was not professional, but my feelings don't change about my experience because I am a critic. Like, for better or worse, that's what I am. I review games and I give you my honest opinion about the game, whether I like it or I don't like it. And everyone during that stream could see that I wasn't, it's not that I don't enjoy the game, but I was disappointed because here's Twa and it's here. Like, nothing comes close. It's here. And then this wasn't even close to that. Like, and again, it's not that the game was underdeveloped or it didn't look great or it doesn't play well or that it doesn't make sense. All that stuff does. But when I compare those two games together, they just weren't the same. It's like taking, I don't want to make this any worse, but it's like taking Star Wars, you know, Empire Strikes Back, and then the Holiday Christmas Special. And those are way far off, but there's just a difference between those two games. And
I think you should stop talking now.
Well,
Sure.
I do want to jump in because I think there's some good points that Jeremy made hidden in there. And we've been doing a lot of streaming lately. I mean, Kier and I stream every Wednesday. We've been doing this for like a year and a half, almost 2 years. We've been doing this every week. And I'll tell you, when the cameras are live, when the lights are on, when you've been playing games for so long, there is an insane amount of pressure to like be funny, to like say something, like get, you know, especially when you can kind of feel it like the game is not fun. And like, there's nothing worse than playing a game on a live stream that you feel like I'm not having fun, the audience is not having fun, no one here's having fun, and you have this intense pressure, and then you just say something that's like word vomit. And, you know, maybe it wasn't the most unprofessional thing, but I think that there needs to be a little bit of leniency too, of just understanding like sometimes we say things for the entertainment value that maybe sound a little harsher than we mean them to, right? But it's difficult when you're in the spur of the moment. Like, you'll just find yourself talking and you don't even realize what you're saying because you don't want dead air and you don't want to disappoint the audience that tuned in to watch the game, you know?
I'm just glad that we actually like got an opportunity to take, you know, just a different approach to this because, you know, you could be just as excited as, you know, we are about these games, and we have this hype going in, and Jeremy did play pretty much all these games before we streamed. So it's like he knew coming in, you know, at least he had tried it or whatever.
Right.
And maybe with Twa Dice, he was just like, well, maybe if I play it with somebody on stream, maybe we'll get a different vibe and maybe I'll see it and feel it. And it's just like, we got an opportunity just to talk about how we felt about these games right after. And that's the way it should be, because that's what it would be at a convention. That would be what happens when you know, rip it out of the package and play it right at a con, and you're in your hotel room, you just pay like $80 for this game, and you're just like, oh my God, I cannot believe I just paid $80 for this game, you know, and I got to ship it back home. So, you know, so it's like that's a realistic thing to be, you know, to be in. And I want people to see more of us, you know, reacting to things. And I think it was a positive experience just for that reason only, you know, like, more of us expressing how we feel about these things, you know.
Well, at the end of the day, I mean, Twa will always be Twa for me. Like, it's always going to stay where it is, regardless of anything else that has the name. But as we all mature in this, you know, field that we're doing, we play more and more games, and we are all looking for great games. And there are a lot of good games. And this is a good game. This is a good game, but it's not a great game. And at the end of the day, that's what I want. Every time I play one of these Essen games or these new games that come out that hit our shelves, it's got to hit. It's got to hit right then, because if it doesn't hit right then and doesn't capture the things that I like about a board game, it's going to be forgotten. And if it's forgotten for me, it's probably going to be forgotten for other people. So I'm looking for the great games.
Yep.
So I will add one final note to that, and then talk about something that for me personally was a little bit of a letdown. It's not something we played on the stream, but on the topic of Twa, I will say, and we've all talked about this internally, we take a little bit of it on ourselves too, because nothing against that game in particular, but choosing a roll and write to be a game that we streamed was probably not the greatest idea on our part.
Right.
As a lot of the live comments, and it doesn't matter what roll and write we were playing, except maybe if we'd played Sonora, because there's a little bit more excitement in a game like that. But any roll and write's going to have like X number of people looking like they're doing homework at a table. And that's effectively what our stream looked like. So it was hard to sort of keep the energy up on that. Now to my mild letdown. Now I will caveat this by saying that I've only played this game once. But after the first time I played it, I was left a little bewildered. So I want to play it a lot more. And then I think I'm probably going to do a review. This game is Castles of Tuscany. Everyone knows I love Stefan Feld. I love Castles of Burgundy. And sort of in the same vein, ever since this was announced, I'd anticipated this being the successor to Castles of Burgundy, sort of Castles of Burgundy 2.0, if you will, or something like that. This is not a more complicated game. It is not a more complex game. It's kind of a streamlined game with some of the same sorts of things that you'd expect from a Castles of Burgundy. You're laying the hex tiles. When you lay a hex tile, it does a different thing. But it plays very, very different than that. And it's got some stuff going on that after we played, and I've only played it 2-player, I felt a little, I wasn't sure why there was things in the game that are in the game. And this, again, this might be just a case of expectations versus what the game is. So I would say this is definitely a tale of manage your expectations, because this is not the next Castles of Burgundy.
It's not at all.
Have you played it, Jeremy?
I'm waiting to get mine, but I know right away just from people saying that, I'm like, it's not that. It's not what you're looking. It's not what you're looking for. As I said, like, not what you're.
David's tried to get me to play it a couple times. I'm in the same boat as you, Howard. Is that I've read a number of reviews and watched one review, and all of them have told me the same thing, that it's not the same. So I purposefully put David off and not playing the game with him because I don't want to be let down. Because I like Burgundy well enough. It's not my favorite Feld, but it's a great game. Like, and I just know if I play it, I'm going to be disappointed, and I don't want to be disappointed anymore.
Well, let me segue, because that brings up a good point. And the thing that, where I was most let down, I guess, and this is not even like as extreme, but Renature for me was a little bit of a disappointment.
Yeah.
And it's not that the game is bad by any stretch, but this comes from two of my favorite designers, Kiesling and Kramer, who've designed some amazing games like Heaven and Ale. And I'm spacing on the name right now, but they had that really great game where you're loading up your mothership with items and then going to the planet, and it's a great game. And like all of these like really thinky, brilliant games. And I felt like this one was okay, but it felt very blah a little bit to me. Like it didn't really require, I think as much thought as some of the other games. It definitely didn't have the puzzle elements of like Heaven and Ale or Azul, for example. And I think my expectations were just really high because I like the dominoes, I like the theme, I like the designers, but the gameplay was just like, okay, it's just one of those games I don't need to ever play it again.
All right, I got something for you. We're gonna so I want to spin over to SPIELdigital, because I know we're just kind of going whatever. I got up on Saturday morning and just kind of went all in. I'm like, I want to try Essen Spiel. I don't go to Essen. I just can't afford that. And I was like, all right, this is cool. I'm going to try it. I'm tech savvy. Where do you find this stuff? Where do you go? And there was some good and there was some bad and there was some ugly, like, what are we doing here? And I will just go with the good, because there was just a lot of in-between stuff as far as American market goes, like the U.S. market. And that was the use of Discord by certain publishers. And when I got up in the morning, I was looking for something on Bezier's Discord, and there was a lot of the U.S. publishers were doing through Discord and getting these groups and tables together. But I ended up in Haba's booth, like their thing, and I got to play this game. It's called it's a series of games called the Key series, and what it is basically like it's not exactly like Chronicles of Crime. It's not exactly like like one of those, what do they call those things? Like those adventure awaits things like that. All those things Unlocked. But it's like a combination of both, because you have a whole bunch of cards laid out on the table. And they have these like little codes on them and little deduction pieces on them. And you're trying to put them and look at a combination of like areas behind your little board. And you're trying to match them up and deduce between three different people who committed the crime, what time of day, and what they committed with. And I just found it to be Very impressive. And they have 3 different boxes of this. It's going to be a series of games, and they do actually have medium and hard modes. And the rep T from Haba, they definitely have some heft to them a little bit. So I'm really excited about that. It's going to be, I think it's a game night improved line. It must be, because it is definitely not as super light as usually their games are. So I was really, really impressed with that one. And that was at like 8 in the morning. somebody had been waiting in the room for 2 hours for somebody to come, because it was in one of those weird times, like a kind of a weird overlap time. He's like, yeah, I've been sitting here for like 2 hours waiting for somebody to play. So got a couple games of that. I mean, I have a couple cases in each one and stuff, so it was pretty fun.
After the week that we had with our Essen thing, I had to take a break. So I didn't do anything with Spiel. I've heard good and bad, but I heard most of what you just said as far as Discord. I've heard a lot of the good points of contact came from the Discord servers, from publishers being in their own Discord servers.
So I think that's
games, which is pretty big.
That's something that to call out, though. I think. I mean, that's all well and great, but see, this is something that's been kind of sitting with me, and I think I've heard from a lot of publishers. It's great that the publishers were able to do that, but they basically all organized their own little mini Discords. Yes. They organized their own play testing. I mean, the fact that it was Essen and that they paid to be part of this, and yet they had to organize it all themselves. They had to set up their Discord. They had to bring people into their Discord. And that's great that they did that, but like, why did they pay this money? Why would publishers paying to be part of this when they if they just run their own Discord that same weekend, and that's, and I think that's something that we need to think about. If these virtual conventions continue, there needs to be a reason for publishers to be involved, that they couldn't just, hey, let's open our Discord for a weekend of demos and selling games,
I totally agree with you, but I also think it is on the publisher to be their biggest promoter. And we are like in a time where you got to be your biggest promoter, and that can't just start for a 4-day weekend. Like, hey, I bought in, promote me, and that's the thing. It's like, it's a virtual thing. Well, it's been a virtual world for half a year now. Now I give everybody the excuse of, this is year 0. It's not a full year. We did not expect this. You're not supposed to be tech savvy day 1 within 3 months and get ready for Gen Con and then get ready for Origin. I don't expect that. But as the year goes along, I'm thinking you're taking your lumps, and you already have a Twitch channel running where you do Q&As on Fridays, and you have your own little version of what you do, and then you put stuff out to your fans, just your fans, and then maybe get some crossover with digital. But that actually goes back to the actual site that kind of had this weird presentation that left a lot of people, guessing as to where to go to get to what. And on top of that, I go back to the publishers again, because when I did click on their stuff, they didn't have any like videos of their stuff. They didn't have links to their stuff like on the BGG or anything. Like, so there was also like, there's an effort that's missing there as well. So I don't want to let publishers off the hook. I think the ones that did the best had some tech knowledge, and they just put their best foot forward as far as advertising. CGE has a whole digital presence. They made a digital world to be in. Pandasaurus does social media every day. It's just like, those are certain people that did well. And by the way, if you ever want to play a really cool nice little family game, Gods Love Dinosaurs, it's a cute game. It's not like a world breaker, but it's definitely fun. It's definitely fun to play. And I played it virtually because I played the rules wrong twice already. Nice. So I got in the chat. I was like, let me make sure I have these rules right. And I actually had a lot of fun. So I'm glad I played it right, and I had a good time trying to put dinosaurs on tiles.
So speaking of Gods Loves Dinosaurs, that's around Essen time too. Is there anything else you guys have been playing that's around Essen that you really enjoyed? I know, David, you played twice now the new Feld. I don't even know what kind of game it is. I don't even know the name of it. It was some weird name. I was going to
play it tonight.
Coco Pelli.
Yeah, is it good?
I enjoy the game. It does not at all feel like a Feld game. It's very different. From what I understand, or what I was told, when he was here for Gen Con, what was that, 2019?
2 years ago.
He and someone else after that had gone to Arizona or New Mexico and spent some time there after Gen Con. And that's where this game was inspired, as you can see by the art if you've taken a look at it. I'm trying to think of other games that have used this mechanic, but there are all these different sort of gods, right? And no matter what the player count is, you take X number of those gods, and then everyone's going to get, I think it's 3 or 4 cards for each of those gods, right? So you build each player builds their deck at the beginning, and everyone has the same deck. So you have 3 of 12 of these gods, and I have 3 of 12 of those gods. And then we have some jokers. It all gets shuffled up. And then you have this tableau in front of you where you have these, I can't remember the name they call it, but these places where you're basically playing the cards. And you share the first 2 of your neighbors as well. So everyone's playing cards into these areas. And there's rules for playing them. You can't have more than one god. Oh, it's a ceremony. You can't have more than one of the gods in a ceremony in your play area.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're explaining it better than Ron did.
So and each of these gods have a different power, right? So when you play the card, some of them do things when you play them. Most of them have an effect on your play. So I might have a card that says, oh, from now on, when you add to someone's ceremony, because you're playing a card and then stacking up to 4 of that same god in that ceremony area. And once there's 4 in there, it closes the ceremony. If you are the person who closes a ceremony, you're taking a 4-point chip off of that god, leaving the 3-point chip. And then if someone takes the 3-point chip off of that god by closing that god's ceremony somewhere else, they take the 3-point chip, and then that's closed. The game's going to end after you've closed, I think 11 of the 12 gods. So you just keep doing this. It's very combative. You're playing cards all over the place. Depending on what cards I have in my ceremony area might affect whether or not you can play some of the cards that you want to play. It's an interesting game, but it does not. There's nothing in it that I was like, oh, okay, I see Stefan Feld here.
Interesting.
I think it's on Kickstarter right now, right?
It is.
No, I think it's next Tuesday.
And we did a lot of live streaming. Or we had several live streams over the weekend. So I want to talk about something I got to play that I really liked. But first, I think combined, we did maybe 6 different streams. Jeremy and I did one talking about Euro games. We did a Power Rangers live stream. Yep. And I did code names. I did a bunch of stuff. And a lot of people that are commenters here, I saw you guys in a lot of those streams. So I just want to say thank you for our community for coming out and supporting us and watching all those streams. It's kind of cool to see a lot of the same familiar faces pop up in these streams, even when we're in different spaces.
Absolutely.
But the one that I got...
Go ahead. Sorry. I thought you were done.
Well, I was going to jump into the game, but if you want to say something about that...
No. I was just going to say I'd forgotten about playing Power Rangers during during Essen. It was a lot of fun. That game, you should really check it out. Even if you're not a Power Rangers fan, it is a nice, interesting take on deck building for sure.
Yeah, I'm gonna cut in real quick, Ryan, and then you can finish.
Go ahead.
Speaking of deck builders, the Lost Runes of Arnak, which is a really good deck builder.
I was just about to bring that up.
You just mentioned Power Rangers, which I don't like Power Rangers at all. It's not an IP that I care about, but dang, that game is really good, and it's a really good deck builder. And then of course Dune Imperium, which we've had for just a little bit, but I played it 4 times solo, and I played it once 2-player. It does have AI built into the solo and the 2-player games. I've not played it as a 3-player game, but all 3 of those games are worthy of checking out. And deck building games have just been kind of lukewarm for me, and I don't feel like there's been a lot of innovation, but we've seen 3 really good deck building games this year. I like that. Brian, go ahead. Sorry.
No, it's fine. No problem, because we're just all talking about games. But the one that I played that was new to me that I got to demo during Essen was Agemonia, which is it's really cool. It's hard to really describe, but it is a story-based narrative game. It plays out on a map, which is going to be like a storybook map that's going to unfold, and it felt like an evolution of we've played Stuffed Fables and was it Coma Knots we played, and some of those games fell flat for some reason or other. There was just whatever reasons, but this one feels like a next step evolution of that, and it's very cool. There's all these points of interest on the map to look at, but what I thought was really cool is these points of interest, if you even get close to them, you're drawing cards from a deck, and it's giving you a little hint of maybe what's going on over there, so then you get to decide if you think that's worth investigating or not. which is really cool. And some of those cards are going to come out and lay over the storybook and change the way the story is going. And that's cool, but the action selection system is cool. It plays over a campaign, and you're going to be able to modify the actions of your character board. And Jeremy, I think you've played this. I know Kira's played this.
Yeah, I was saying like, I was like, I don't know. I got about halfway through it. Then I was like, oh, whoa, hold on a second here. Now you're adding these cards to the map. You got a little choice going on. It kind of unfolds itself a little bit. And we only played the first scenario, but now I can see the potential in it. And it's got very simple actions, and you can just see it growing.
Right, and building on those actions over the course of the game.
Yeah, this is definitely gonna, fit there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be. Honestly, it's turning into being one of my most anticipated for next year, I think.
So I have a game that I know probably nobody knows about, and I just kind of I stumbled upon it. I bought it on a whim, and I brought it over here. It's called Nidavellir. Nidavellir is a game. I know, like Peter Dinklage, the dwarf that forges things. Yeah, it is. It's actually based on that world, I guess. So anyway, basically you have these coins, and you have your different factions of these dwarves trying to bid coins to recruit specific folks. And as you can recruit the factions, they all have different scoring conditions. So kind of like that Reiner Knizia game we play, where it's just like different things, but they all have banner scoring, and they also have point scoring. And what you're trying to do is not only collect the columns of the different colors, but you're also kind of collecting rows of the banners at the same time. And when you do that, you can buy cards that are like special warriors with names and different abilities that add to that stack of scoring. And then between rounds, you also get like prizes for being the best at collecting these sets as well. So it's a really pleasing and quick game. And they also have this thing where when you're blind bidding, you can play a 0 coin, and you can take the 2 coins at your bottom and turn them in for a better coin. So you can kind of build a deck of coins that are better by trading them in, and kind of pull that off. It's a very easy game, but after Tom had reviewed it and I kind of asked him more about it, it's like, I'll try it out. And I mean, last night we played it, the other night we played it, and I was just like, this is a very good game. You can find it on it's a very good, quick game. I always say, we talked about how many games are good, games are good or okay or good. This was not good and forgettable. This was good. So I think it's going to stick around for a while. It's one of those games that I think I want to have around to kind of throw out. We were going to play 2 games back to back, but yeah, we wanted to play Lost Ruins of Arnak. So he was like, let's just move on. But I think it's going to be sticking around for a while. Check that one out.
Cool. Anyone else have anything? I've got a game here.
It's not a game I've played, but I just wanted to mention that I'm going to finally get back to playing Arkham Horror this weekend. I kind of overdosed on it back when I started playing it. We played it to death. I bought every last possible thing you could get for it. And then we got away from it for a few weeks, probably been a month or more now since we played it. But earlier this week, over at Brambeard Gaming, which I've been on a couple times to do their listicuffs. Unfortunately, Jeremy, I lost last night.
So okay, I got you.
Oh no!
There was a chance that I'd have been facing Jeremy Howard in the finals,
Yeah.
but I'm out, and it's Lance Meixter.
Yeah.
And by the way, speaking of which, I've always said Mixter. It's Lance Meixter.
Yeah.
It's going to be him in the finals facing either you
Or Delp.
or Delp.
Crush.
But I got sidetracked there. 2 nights ago, or a couple nights ago, on Brambeard Gaming, it's on a Twitch channel. They played Barkham Horror with Jeremy Holmes from Blue Peg Pink Peg, and I watched a little bit of it. I didn't want to watch all of it. I muted a lot of it because I didn't want to spoil it, because I haven't played Barkham Horror. But it looked hilarious and fun, and I think we might actually try that scenario this week.
Nice. Yeah, I need to play that. I've not played for a while. I need to get back into it. There's so many good games, though. I mean, we're playing a bunch of campaign games. We're playing Sleeping Gods. Now we've moved on to Etherfields. I did the Pandemic Legacy Season 0 review. That was a monster of a game to play through. And now Kira and I are going to do a live stream of This Zombie Teens. Can you guys see that? Can you guys see this game? Oh.
I can.
Yeah. So we played through Zombie Kids. This is the most you want an underrated game?
Yeah.
Zombie Kids is probably
No
one of the
question.
most underrated games I've ever played. It is fantastic. Our stream will probably be either this weekend or Thursday of next week. We'll let you know, but there will be spoilers in there. Just letting you know, we'll have spoiler tags everywhere because it is kind of not really a legacy game, but there are like 15 or 16 envelopes in here, and you're constantly opening them up as you do different achievements in the game. Super simple game, really good game. And then, which was last week, we did Paleo on the live stream. I honestly think Paleo is going to be in my top 3 this year. It's that good of a game. Like, there's nothing I've ever played that's a cooperative game like that. Carol, I think Carol had asked if I'd played it again. No, Kira and I are on the second mission, the one that you guys saw us play during the live stream that we failed miserably. There's just so many games we have to try to pack in the week, but Kira and I are definitely going to try to finish this one out. Fantastic game. The moment this one goes on sale, if you like co-op games, get it. Absolutely get it. There's nothing like it. And then this is Dice Throne Adventures, which is super exciting. I love Dice Throne. Kira works on the Dice Throne team. It is the adventure game where you go through a dungeon, and then at the end of the dungeon, you go buy some loot, you upgrade your deck, and then you fight a boss, and then you rinse and repeat through the game. I have purposefully not talked to Kira about anything inside of here. There's a bunch of legacy packs in here too. So as you get through the game, you will, once you beat the Mad King, you're going to open up more stuff. And I'll let you guys talk. I'll open up and show you the envelopes, but I'm not going to show you what's in them, of course. But it's just, I cannot wait to play this. Like, I love Dice Throne. We just played today, Kira and I. I played the Moon Elf against her Shadow Thief, just so we could get reacquainted with the game so we can start diving into this one. I did. See, this feels good because Kira's not here to defend herself. Like, she prides herself on being a master Shadow Thief. Like, she pulls it out of the box like, like it's heavy, and she's like, oh yeah, she's gonna just destroy me. So I challenged her. I said, I'm gonna beat her with the Moon Elf, and boom.
Can I translate for Kira? Because I can see her right now, and she's mouthing words that I'm glad are muted.
She loves the Shadow Thief, though.
Yes.
By the way, while Jeremy's opening that, I'm going to go completely off topic and present.
Oh, your PlayStation 5?
My PlayStation 5 controller.
Cut his feet.
We're going to lose David in a month.
We've lost.
Well, not even like 2 weeks that comes out.
You're going to lose all of us.
That's true. We're all gone. 2 more weeks.
No one has the system, of course, but they started shipping out the controllers and accessories early, and I got this yesterday, and I am... It's the greatest thing for them to do, honestly, to trickle this stuff out over time, because it just gets you hyped up for the day that those systems are going to arrive.
You haven't set the controller down since you got it, right?
I've been holding it this whole time, just waiting for the haptics to kick in.
Like,
eventually this thing will turn on.
Next week they're going to be sending out power cords, and Dave's going to be holding.
So
they're just trickling everything out every week.
Here's the Dice Throne box. You can kind of see some of the stuff in here. I've pulled a lot of stuff out, but everything's got super nice game tray organizers. And then these, Legacy Pack A, Legacy Tiles B, and then C and D. And D, I mean, this is not really a spoiler, but they're foiled. I don't know if you can see this, but there's going to be some foiled stuff in here. So no idea, but I don't think you get to open these until you've defeated the Mad King the first time. And none of this is spoiler because it's on their Kickstarter page, and you already know that. So
I mean, technically, you could open them before that.
Good.
That's not fun, though.
That's not how we roll.
There are people that will open up a game like that and like immediately open every envelope and every box. And
really?
Oh yeah, for sure, 100%.
I don't know.
Says the guy who, as we play adventure games and we make one choice, he's the guy that goes to the part in the book that was the other choice to see what we missed.
You know what? I do that sometimes because, and I'll tell you, I'll actually tell you why on stream.
Why?
Because looking at things from a reviewer's perspective, what I want to know is this actually a choice or is this just an illusion of choice? I like to know that if I had said something different and I flip it, it's like, oh, it's a huge thing. I won't read it, but I'm like, that's cool because I know that these decisions actually matter. But some games, it's like turn to this page and you read it and it's like, the exact same thing happens, but the wording is just a little different. And I'm like, well, those aren't really choices. And some narrative games will trick you. I think Sleeping Gods is a great example of a game that your choices really do matter.
Let me ask you this, Ryan. If you're reading, like, say you're super excited, I'm gonna talk about Sleeping Gods, and I don't know the answer to this, but say you're really excited for a game, or even this, and you read something in the book, and you're like, oh my gosh, and then the moment you read that other one, and it's maybe the same page, or you get 2 gold instead of 1 gold, do you immediately say to myself, well, why am I playing it now? Like, why do you want to know that? If it's a story, like if you're playing a video game, why do you want to know what the other choice is until you're done playing the game and then go back through it and try the other choice? Like, you're just setting yourself up for disappointment sometimes.
I mean, sometimes you're right. But like when we talk about a game after the fact, or if we do review something like Sleeping Gods, that's something that I want to be able to talk about, right? And and it's not like I'll look up every decision, but it's like there's some I'm like, I feel like this could be a really key decision. Does it actually matter, right?
So you heard it here first, publishers. Do not try to fool Ryan with your illusion of choice. He will haunt you in your dreams.
Video games are the same way. I know we've all played those video games where you get up to like a cool dialogue tree and there's a real cool option and you go to do it and it just like, okay, and it takes you right back to the previous dialogue tree and you're like, all right, well.
Yeah, but the thing is too, like, you don't know if that dialogue, like say you pick A and then you read B and they're similar, but you don't know if B takes you somewhere else. So they could diverge later. Again, I think you're just setting yourself up for disappointment if you continue to do that. Actually, I think Kira and I played a game. I don't remember what game it was, but we actually physically took the book out of his hand. We said, you're not reading, because we know that Ryan goes to those pages and wants to read them. I don't remember what game it was.
I will only do it like once or maybe twice per game. Like, I don't do it for every choice or every decision. True. But every once in a while, I like to just check and see if that really does matter. That's all.
I just want now for us to play a game and for Ryan to check the other one and for that one to reference you to the original one that you chose.
Start back at 1.
Go to 65 or 75, and 75 says go to 65.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends, right?
So I got 2 from the same publisher. One of them is that ones that you played probably was Whistle Mountain.
Yeah.
Which I think is definitely a top 10 candidate for me. It is. Oh man, it's impressive. It is very impressive game. I was worried about it being super fiddly when I played it on TTS, which of course it would be, right? The way it's built, it is. But and it's fiddly in person, but it's like way less because they actually have pegs to put the water in and like make it easy. If that was flimsy and they like really cheaped out on components, it'd be a disaster.
I don't know if it's fiddly.
You say fiddly. All out on the components.
Wouldn't you say it's more busy than it is fiddly? Like there's just a lot of pieces
it's just busy because I think the pictures I gave to Kira, like you can tell it's like very squishy. Things are on top of each other, but it all makes sense because the components fit. They don't slide out. They're not, like, oh, does this really fit? Or when you put something on top, the air balloon on top, and then somebody's trying to fit it in, everything fits. There's space for everything. It just looks like crazy when you see it on the table, but it's also beautiful and colorful. It's a very colorful game. So yeah, I just like that game. It's a really good, like has a little bit of a piggyback engine to it. It's got nice little timing in it, but the state of the board changes so much based on how players are playing this stuff. And I just thought that part was so interesting because it's like there's opportunities to pounce on things and make, setups that will score you points as you lay these contraptions and scaffolds together. But you're also allowing people to piggyback off that and, move their workers over to the side and score points. If you're putting down machines, that means that everybody has an opportunity to use it as well. And you don't necessarily know what they're going to combo off that. And just the different types of machines that come out as you go along that kind of build your engine. I was like, this is awesome. It's going to be replayable for such a long time. I mean, you even have 17 starting abilities.
Yeah,
like
a ton.
You have 17 starting abilities. You got a huge stack of other machines you can add to your board. You just have all this stuff you can do. I'm just like, this is a very good game.
Yeah, as you're mentioning that game, I just kind of veer for a little bit. We have like 13 minutes left here.
No.
If you guys could each pick if it was December 31st right now, what's your favorite game or favorite game experience that you've had this year that's new to you? Like, David, you could throw in Arkham because that's, you've really dug into Arkham. That could be your favorite thing this year. Or it could be, and you've been talking a lot about My City, like how good of an experience My City was for you and Alicia. Like, out of all of us, like, what's your favorite experience? That would be the best game, like mechanically the best game. But what's your best experience you've had playing a game this year?
I'll go first, and you kind of sparked my imagination. It would be a hard pick between those. My short list of 3 would be those 2 and the fun I've had playing Arnak, because I think Arnak has been fun every single time I've played it. Different cards have come out, so that's a lot of fun. But to your question, I would have to say, oh boy. It's close between Arkham and My City, but I probably would say My City right now, just because it's the one that I would recommend to everyone. Like, I couldn't recommend Arkham to everyone just because it's a big ask for a lot of people. But My City, I don't know a person that I wouldn't say, if you've got at least one other person in your life, like if you're a couple, absolutely you should play all the way through My City. I can't recommend that game enough. It was a really fun experience, and it wasn't groundbreaking. It wasn't the best game I've ever played, but it was an absolute sort of almost like a must experience in my opinion. It's absolutely worthwhile and ridiculously cheap. Like, I think it's still just at B&N. I'm not sure if it's hit other retailers quite yet. But I did see that it was on pre-order at like Miniature Market and places like that for like $24.99, which is nothing for that game.
Yeah. Right.
JL?
For me?
Yeah.
I've just had we've had a lot of big moments this year. I was just thinking like, man, we've had some really fun game nights. You know what's interesting is that I had game nights that like we revisited games from 2019. And the biggest like revisit that was a home run for me, I'm just thinking, like you said, experiences, and that's what I'm big on, experiences, is smartphone with the 1.1 stuff.
Yeah.
It's just a better game.
It is
like
much
ridiculous.
better.
It's so much better. like it was a good game that got stale, right? It was a good game where you knew kind of how to play it. But then like when you added all these new different like little abilities and stuff in there, I was like, oh, see, this is it. And then when you get into a smaller player count, they have a board for that. And it's like the board works and it gets tight and it feels just as tense. And I'm like, that's exactly what it was missing. And, we ended up playing it like 2 or 3 weeks in a row, which is completely unheard of in the Howard household. But I just really enjoyed that game. And I think Praga blew me away.
Wow. Surprised to hear you say that.
I was just like, this is what I want in a board game. Like, I usually know my game of the year when I meet it. Like when I played Tuscany this year, I was like, this could be my favorite game this year. Like, I just felt it. Like, I was like, all right. And then when I played Praga, I was just like, yeah, this definitely has I need to play it one more time, and then I'll know. Just that type of game, where I have fun. That was the same thing when I played Whistle Mountain for the first time. I was like, I'm having fun. This is great. This is pleasing to me. Other than that, playing games with you guys, I look forward to that. I come see you guys twice a year, and I just, I'm not doing anything that week. Jeez, my boss hates me when I go.
I think it's
doing anything.
I think that's just because
I'm not even going to touch the list. I know what we're doing.
It's just because. Oh my
god. Absolutely ridiculous. I don't come there enough.
I think it's just because you enjoyed Jeremy's recliner so much in the basement.
Okay, guys. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
We should timestamp the snoring.
Okay. All right. Pipe down.
It happens. Yeah.
All right.
Ryan, do you have anything?
So, yeah, I've got 2 things I want. Like, this might seem like a cop-out, but I'm going to say that last year, 2019, my number 1 game was Marvel Champions. And I knew that I was going to continue to play it this year, but what I didn't anticipate was how great of an experience it would be to play through not only that Rise of the Red Skull campaign, which I knew that was coming, and yes, some people may have been a little disappointed that it wasn't Arkham level campaign, but I never expected that. So I certainly was not let down. It just added so much to the fun of playing Marvel Champions. And I was like, okay, Marvel Champions still has it. But then Kang the Conqueror came out. And that was not something I expected at all. And that was one of the coolest game experiences I've played. Like the way that works with like Kang coming in and traveling through time and teleporting your different heroes through time and space. And it changed things up in such a unique way that it not only made me rethink the way that I've been playing Marvel Champions, but also the things they could do for the future. So like, man, it's been a whole another year and I'm still just as excited for new Marvel Champions content. And the second thing I want to talk about, this is an older game, but I just played it for the first time, and that's Gaia Project. I just had not played Gaia Project, and I finally played it the other night, and oh man, like that game is just beautiful from start to finish. Terra Mystica was always a great game, but I think Gaia Project for me just elevates that. And like, I wish I could have gone back and played it the year it came out. It probably would have been on my, well, it definitely would have been on my top 10 list that year. But that game is just so good.
Yeah, it's funny because it was my number one the year it came out, and I think
I
I've played it once since. Just how fast. Well, I mean, I still love the game.
It's a big game. It's hard to get it to the table.
Yeah, so my best game experience is still ongoing at Ether Fields. I keep talking about it, and I probably should have shut up about it, but it is so good. Like,
let's get our copies in, Jeremy.
I'm enamored with the thought that went into this game, like how much content is in it, how much they thought about the systems and the mechanics and the story and the production value. Like, there's nothing like it. It's by far the best game experience that I've had this year. There's nothing even remotely close. Like,
I cannot wait. I won't get mine. I probably will not get mine in time to like really consider it for 2020, but I'm so excited.
Tracking one down. Tracking one down.
It's a lot. It's a lot. And I invite you guys. I actually talked to the guys at Quackaloop. Jeremy sent them to me because they were having questions. It's a pretty rough read, and it's a system. Like, you really have to
commit
to know how it works. Well, commit for sure. With a game that big, you have to commit, but you have to know the rules because there's a lot of weird stuff between the time that you go into a dream, which is kind of like a dungeon, and the time you slumber, and how those things work together. Because if you don't know that basic system and it's not real, it's clear. Like, the rules are really well written, but once you start getting into the meat of it, it takes some like practice. And we had to talk to the designer and Awaken Realms a couple times to get our bearings, and now we're fine with it. But if you guys have any questions about the game, I mean, feel free to join our Discord. I will walk you through it at the moment you guys have it. I'll help anyone play this game. I think I hope it sees a larger audience, and I know with all the other games that Awaken Realms has, this is probably the one game most people are just going to overlook, and you absolutely shouldn't. It's a fantastic game. All right, so we have 5 minutes.
Jeremy Howard has a game. He's trying to
apologize to someone in this world. We may never meet, but I want to apologize to Freeman Freeze. I want to apologize to him because I actually like one of his games now. This one right here. It's called like Quitting Time or After something like that. Well, and it's like a worker placement game where you're like you're using your workers to kind of like relax. You're trying to relax. Your job is kind of stressful, and you have a stress track, which is kind of like your goal, your points. And you're trying to place your workers in spots where they can like go work out and exercise, and that gives you a certain amount of pleasure. You can go hang out and go on a date and find a girlfriend, and those become a girlfriend worker and a regular worker. And then all of a sudden, when you go to certain spots, you get more points because you're in love. You can even go to the hotel.
It sounds like the pursuit of happiness.
You can like go on vacation, but the funny part of this game is, and you can go to the bar and drink and get money, or you can work at the bar and get money. But the interesting part about this game is that you can go on strike and you earn another currency to like fight for your salary to go up. And they also have a thing for like women's rights. So if you like fight for women's rights, that also helps you move up as well, because there's like a pay equality. So if you don't have pay equality, like it kind of subtracts from your income, and if you line it up right, it does well. It's an interesting game, and it's quick. My biggest gripe, of course, it says 55 minutes on the box. Who does that? But Who does that?
Not
Why
60.
insult us?
55.
You know, by the way, that's FF, right?
Yeah. That's what is it? 2F or whatever. Yeah.
No,
But
55.
yeah, I'm unlocking. I'm waiting for his other game,
Oh,
Fight,
good
which
call.
is going to be here at the end of the year. But because that Fayum, whatever, I think it's Fayum, but it looks really good. And you know, I'm just kind of like, all right, I can turn the corner. I'm always open to trying things I don't like. So
Okay, one final question before we go. It's going to be a quick one. I just want a real brief explanation. We're at the end of October. We have November and December. This is historically video game time where all these awesome games get dumped into our lap, whether it's PC, Xbox, PlayStation. If you could only play one game between now and the end of the year out of all the awesome ones coming out, what game is it?
Oh, Assassin's Creed Valhalla for me, 100%. That game is. I'm gonna just do nothing else other than play that game.
Yep.
What about you, Jay-How?
oh boy, I'm not as huge as a video gamer anymore, but I'm definitely going to probably track down that Valhalla game. I'm really excited about it. I was excited about the last one and never bought it, but I'm definitely going to get this one because it's like my theme. So no, sorry. You know what? I don't even know why I said that. I'm so confused about Cyberpunk. I don't even know if it's coming out for
No
2
one knows
years
if it's
right
coming
now.
out.
Okay,
No.
I don't even know. I'm confused.
Yeah.
So I want whatever version of Cyberpunk they give me. At this point, they can give me a downloadable demo. I just want Cyberpunk. Okay.
Yeah.
You know.
Mine would have been Cyberpunk, but I'm worried. I'm worried that it's
I'm
not
very
going to be complete or something is wrong with it. I don't know. I don't know. That would be my number one, but I would say Demon Souls as well, but I'm not because I've already played Demon Souls. But damn, that game looks
I know
amazing.
that trailer that they released.
The
It's like
4K trailer looks
insane. It is
amazing. But
insane. Yeah.
mine's also Valhalla. The moment I saw that 4K trailer, the new one,
Yeah.
I mean, I already put like 126 hours into the last one, Odyssey. And that was a game that I played for like 20 hours, and I put it away for almost a year, probably over a year.
Yeah, you did.
And then David played it and said how good it was, and I went back and played it, and then all the content, like I 100% completed that game. Everything you could possibly do, I did in there, and I love it.
I'll go.
Valhalla was amazing. So
I'll go quick, and then I want to get serious for a moment. But mine's Valhalla 2.
Wow, look at that.
I already bought it. In fact, I bought 2 copies because that's a game that Alicia played as well, the last one, Odyssey. So she's going to get one. I'm going to get one. And I think we each put in like 90 plus hours on the last one. So, but I do want to get serious for a moment before Jeremy signs off. 4 years ago in early November, something happened on November 9th. And I love this because all 4 of their faces just got really serious because they think I'm going to get political.
No.
I'm not getting political,
No.
but that is when Jeremy and I ran our very first Kickstarter in 2016. It was the day after the election, actually. You're welcome. But I bring this up because we're planning to do another Kickstarter by the end of this year, but we are still, unfortunately, fulfilling our current Kickstarter. I want to take this opportunity to thank everyone who backed season 3. I know it has been a long wait. We really appreciate your patience. We are going to start shipping that stuff maybe as early as tomorrow, certainly early next week. As many of you backers know that have been on the actual campaign page or in the comments, there are a few promos that we've been waiting for that still haven't come. It looks like we're going to be looking at doing a second shipment for those in the interest of going ahead and shipping these ones out. So we're going to get some of the pick 3s done and then move on to get all of the all-ins done as quickly as we can, probably through the month of November. But then our next Kickstarter, we don't have an exact date, but we are going to push that off past the end of this year. So it's going to be sometime in the early part, first 3 months probably of 2021. Hopefully, we'll be running that at a time where we're all going outside, we're all doing things with each other, and maybe things are back to normal. Maybe we're celebrating, I don't know, a new outlook in the United States of America.
Look at you! Oh my gosh!
But anyway,
sunflowers popping early, daffodils, hummingbirds, blue jays, cats and dogs. Man, my gosh!
But most importantly, it will be our 4th Kickstarter. That's the most important thing. So look for that after the first of the year. And again, if you're backers, thank you. And you'll be getting your promos sometime in the very near future.
All right. So with that, that is episode 75 of Chit Chat. It's been 75. I don't know. Is that 3 years of Chit Chat?
75, yeah. No, what is there a 75th anniversary? What we should have looked that up.
I don't know. We'll do 100. We'll give away $1 million at 100. I'm not
Wow.
kidding. We won't. Anyway,
I'll go from 99 to 101.
just make
Mike's
a comment
hot.
and be entered to
Mike's
win,
hot.
guys. Control, again, a comment on this video. As always, please thumb the video. Let us know. Join our Discord. We have all kinds of cool conversations that go on in there. And until next time, thanks for watching, guys.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye. Take care.